Thank you so much for tuning in to Inward Beauty. We want you to always remember beauty starts within. We have with us Fanicia Howard, author of Letters to an Anonymous Heart. Fanicia, thank you so much for joining us
Thank you
today.
for having me. Thank you for having
So, Fanicia, you look pretty young, and you have a very impressive resume.
me.
You were contributing writer for Inspire magazine. You help youth. You are currently involved in activism. I would say you live a pretty full life, huh?
Thank you. I've been told since I was younger, and it's really cliche, but I have an old soul for a young body. But I really just think I'm fortunate to have been reared by people who instilled having value and understanding the value of things, and giving me bits of wisdom. And by default, we don't always get to pick our experiences per se, but I think those help develop me into who I am as a person and understanding my purpose and essentially helping other people understand their purpose. So I take pride in that, and I'm thankful to God for like putting that in me, giving me the gift and the time and the patience and the strength to do all of these things. But at the same time, I just feel like a lot of people are living full lives. I know it's highlighted on me, but it's humbling too, and I still have a lot more work to do.
That's nice. So, Fanicia Howard is uh, author of this beautiful book she's going to tell us about. She is an alumna of Clark Atlanta University. She's a writer, educator, and social justice activist. So, Phoenicia, before we discuss your book here, would you describe yourself as a poet, an author, a writer? Who are you?
Okay, well, I'm not the easiest person. I'm kind of complex, y'all. On the Aquarius, so I'll give like the professional answer, what I think I am, and then like the artistic answer. Professionally, I would, if I had to label myself, it would be a writer only because within writing, you can do so many different things. I write prose, like short fiction. My favorite literary form is poetry. And I've also done roles as being a transcriber and an interviewer. So all those entail writing. So I professionally I label myself as a writer. Artistically, I just feel like I'm a vessel um, to bring forth the arts because I do visual art. I do acting. Um, so I like to think artistically I'm more of a vessel, but by trade I am a writer first. And it's funny because I've been asked before, how do you feel to be an author? How does it feel? Like they were just whoever asked me that was stuck on this author, but it was almost like it was putting me on a pedestal. And when it's in regards to writing or being a poet or an author, I just feel like we all have a story. I was just in a space and in a season where it was my time to publish it, but I just feel like we all have a little bit of poetry within us. I feel like a lot of times we don't realize how connected we are to poetry, and a lot of times we talk in verse and we understand things in verse. And I never just looked at it as like one entity. You are an author because I didn't want to be put in that box. But technically, I do have a book, but that's always a tricky one.
You're multifaceted.
Yes, multifaceted, definitely.
So I was reading some of your poems, and you wrote a poem called Scars.
Mhm.
And
That was a deep one.
yeah. So one of the things that brought me to Inward Beauty were some of the things that I viewed on me as scars.
Mhm.
My eyes or my knock knees, that one high hip. I had hyperpigmentation, and depending on how much sleep I get or what I eat, I might have a little puffiness under my eyes. Can you read scars
Okay.
to our viewers?
All right.
Thank you so much.
And I'll talk a little bit of background about scars after I read it to kind of put into context what space I was in when I wrote it. All right, this is scars. I refuse to hide my scars, even the ones I inflicted on myself. Each blemish has its own unique beauty. Each one is a narrator of its own short story. May my imperfections be a testament to those who fearfully hide behind their own. No matter if the cut was deep or the bruise was massive, give honor to your beautiful scars, for they provide us three truths. They were truth that you were hurt.
Mm.
They are evidence that you were healed. They are God's reminder that you survived. And that's scars. And like how you touched on things that you felt were scars in your life, a lot of sometimes it's emotional, but I know you touched on like the physical aspects. Scars is really, when I even talk about the book, that's one of my go-to poems, because I have this working theory that sometimes in order for other people to heal, you have to be willing to show your scars so that they can start the process. Um, Scars for me, it was layered. Physically, I have a lot of scars on my body from different traumas in my life, and some have to do with like um, skin related issues. Some were just things that happened to me, and as I go on my journey, I'm becoming more comfortable with talking about it. But those things make me feel like I didn't have beauty. It made me feel like someone couldn't see me for who I was, because it was like just graffiti on me. And emotionally, scars also represents that. A lot of people um, carry trauma, and a lot of times it manifests generationally. It shows up in their work settings, in their personal relationships,
How we eat.
how we eat, how and that in itself is a holistic. People just a little sidetrack. People look at diet itself as just food, and it's like I believe like food is connected to like this that spiritual knowing of self, um, levels of feeling energy or whatnot. So scars is just my personal testament saying I'm tired of feeling like I have to hide, but also through that letting people know you've been here, you feel this too. I'm not alone. If I'm saying this, I want you to understand it's okay. And I think too, you just get in a space. That's why I open it with I refuse. I could have chose I don't want to. I should. I refuse. That's me declaring. I'm not hiding this from anybody, because we a lot of us live or go through our day to day in life, go day to day, just so caught up in it weighs us down like a what do you call them, shackles. I feel like that with whatever we carry on. So sometimes just like I said, sometimes the scar is physical, sometimes it's emotional, and I that's like my go-to poem for the book. Like that's always gonna be the first one, because it speaks so many volumes to me, and I know it reaches someone else because we all hide stuff, and it's good to see that's the connecting thing with people when one person talks about I go through this and someone else may be ashamed or whatnot. It's like okay, even if they don't talk about it on the open, the other person knows okay, I know I'm not alone. 'Cause I feel like that all the time with things. It's like I gotta be the only one going through this, and then somebody else I may see a post and they're talking about it. And I'm like, okay, that gave me strength to keep pushing on through whatever I have, you know.
I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I'm not the only one. So that's kind of the background of scars in a nutshell.
Well, it certainly touched me, and that was one of the things that, like I said, brought me to inward beauty. For the longest time, for many years, I worked in the beauty industry where we just only focused on one aspect, that outer beauty, and it was bogus. And I apologize to every client that I touched, where I only focused on the outward appearance and um, society's standards of beauty. So please forgive me for that. And so now we'll focus on inward beauty. So, Fanicia, you have a poem called You are enough.
Yes.
Now, that's my last request. I promise. I promise. This is the last poem I'm gonna ask her to read to you guys. But when I read that poem, the last few stanzas, do not uh do not spill over.
Yes.
Do not empty out. Do not dilute yourself for no one. I was like,
Yes. So I'm gonna read "You Are Enough," and as I did with "Scars," I'll give some background on what space I was in, what I was thinking, what was the response I wanted from it.
so those of you who have those feelings of inadequacy and feeling like you can't measure up and you compare yourself to somebody, stop that foolishness right now because you are enough and you have everything you need on the inside of you. It's great to look outwardly for inspiration, but don't let that be your defining
Don't emulate.
factor.
Don't
Don't
imitate.
if you eat 5 granola bars, you've been doing good eating your salads and your fruits and you overdid on granola bars, cookies, can't start over. Don't beat yourself up. Don't say forget it. Keep it moving.
Yes.
All right, you are enough.
This is "You Are Enough." Some will say you are not strong enough for their taste. Some will admit they're too much of a lightweight to take you on as a challenge. Others will forever be parched and blame you for not being able to quench their thirst. But, darling, your glass is always full enough, and the contents of your beverages are always suitable enough. Do not empty, spill over, or dilute yourself for anyone. You are always enough. Cheers. And with "You Are Enough," my favorite style with writing is personification. So with this poem, I'm comparing myself, or I would like other people to look at themselves as a glass. And in philosophy, they always do the is the glass half empty or is it half full? And I was really in this space thinking in that sense. And I also refer back to I saw a quote. It was talking about self care and it talks about you can't pour from an empty cup. And so I thought that was the best way to personify us. A lot of times in life, it's a cycle. We have times where we're filled to the brim. A lot of times, people are also pouring into us. But a lot of times, too, like when I talked about the quote, we talk about not emptying ourselves or being too drained or being without. So, in this poem, as you touched on, Ms. Hawaii, it talks about self worth and knowing how to deal with those feelings of inadequacy or incompetence. Um, and I really wanted to bring it home on the last part with the do not empty, spill over, or dilute yourself because I'm a millennial. In the way of the world, a lot of things are driven by social media. What you see, what you see, what you see. And a lot of times I'll see people spilling themselves over, doing everything just to get people to like them, invest in them, seeing people dilute themselves. They're not being the true, beautiful person they are. They're mixing all of this other stuff into who they are. Or people just emptying themselves, draining. You're doing so much, putting yourself in different spaces to be this to this person and this person, and it's not even like it's a reciprocation of the giving. It's just you're always giving and you end up without.
Emptying themselves for
Yes.
anybody.
Yes. And within that, the main thing was understanding you are enough. Even, I'm speaking to people in my age group, probably some younger kids, even if you're on Instagram, you get one like, you are enough. Even if you lost your job for whatever reason, you are still enough. And you will find something else will come your way. Whatever it is, you are enough, you have enough, you've always been enough. And it's hard to, it's one of those things people, we say it all the time, and I get it that it's hard to believe. I'm human, I'm flesh, I'm spirit, but I have a human body. I understand it's hard for me sometimes too. Like, I don't want somebody to just give me fluff, but it is true. But going back to inward beauty, it starts when you believe it in here, the compartment that people can't see. It starts from a space within. So even if that means every morning getting in that mirror, if it sounds ridiculous, start telling yourself positive, just words of affirmation. Words of affirmation. Just like how, as long as it took you to believe all the negative things, use that same, take that and flip it and make it positive words of affirmation. Because it's true. You have everything you need. And if there's something you need to improve, we're all works in progress, but don't let anyone make you feel like you have to dilute, spill over, empty yourself. And if for whatever reason they make you feel like you're not enough, you can't bring enough to that table, it's time to find a new seat. One day at a time.
One day at a time. Letters to an Anonymous Heart. Fanicia Howard. So, Fanicia, how do we get this book?
You can go on Amazon.com, type in Letters to an Anonymous Heart. The books are $10. Usually about tax, about $3 or so, but $10 for the book. If you're local to Atlanta, you can email me at faniciahoward@gmail.com. That's FANICIAHOWARD@gmail.com. It comes straight to my phone, so any questions, comments, concerns, I will respond in a timely manner. If you have any questions about any events or anything happening, you can also follow me at my book's Facebook page, Letters to an Anonymous Heart. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Fanicia Howard, for joining us on Inward.
Thank you for having me.
You're most welcome. Yay. Yay. So you guys check out Fanicia's work. Support her. Her information will be below. So I hope you guys enjoy. Oh man, she talked about all kind of stuff: religion, sexuality, heartbreak, restoration, romance, and empowerment. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Inward Beauty. And remember always, beauty starts within.